Sorrel here. This is the demo in how to use French curves, and I'm going to start with basically pulling letters out in Illustrator that I can come into and do my drawing. There's several projects where we'll be working with French curves to lay out and do our comping. It's most important that you focus on detail within your work, and this is what I'm looking for, the quality. This is also the quality you'll be expected to do in corporate and out in the real world environment as a designer, visual creator. So as soon as you can develop some good copying skills would be beneficial. What I'm doing for the combination assignment is that the base letter, and this will also apply if you're doing the 224 comp sketches as well, you'll still need to use French curves. But I'm creating a base letter that is 7 inches tall, and I'm going through and finding the font that I want to work with, and I've selected, looks like Baskerville here, and let me stretch that out, and I've basically gone up to the ruler at the top of the page. To find the ruler, you can do Command R on your keyboard. That will bring your ruler up. And you can also go to the apex between the two rulers to create a 0 point. And then I've created manually a 7-inch tall letter. The reason I do it this way is that I can ensure both a capital letter and also a lowercase letter, if that's your base letter, so that it fills that 7-inch area. Once I've converted it by going up to Type and Create Outline, I can use the Direct Select tool, the white arrow, to basically eliminate the counter or the bowl area, the white area. I will not need that for my particular design. So now that I have that page ready to go, I can output that, I can save it and print it. And if I want to, I can also type here at the bottom, I can type in what font it is. And if you notice, I'm using Berthold Baskerville Italic. I like to save the titles on my work so I can remember what font it is. Sometimes I get them confused with New Times Roman or Castellan. Just a quick way to reference that, and I'll go ahead and write in the name of that here in my Illustrator file. Berthold Baskerville, and it's italic. Okay. There we go. And I'll save, and then I can print that page and save it for later if I feel it's necessary. At this point, I'm going to open on another file. I also want to do the negative letter. In my design, I'm doing an E and a G, a lowercase g, a lowercase e as an italic. And I'm going to do several of these. I really don't know which one I want. I was mentioning as you do your 32 comps that you need to do 4 up per page and try to figure out how best to equate that. So I'm coming in here, I'm going to type in the font that I've selected, which is Source Sans variable. Source Sans variable in a semi-bold will work really fine in the italic, and that's the one I've decided to use. So I'm going to type that in here. It's a nice way to find your fonts. If you know the name of it, instead of searching for it, you can just type in the name in the text bar, and it will come up pretty quickly for whatever you want. And I'm just going to change here from semi-bold to semi-bold italic, and that's the one that I had decided on within my layouts. And then I'm going to create varying sizes. So the first one I'm going to type in here is around, let's try 350 points, and then I'll make a copy of that. I'll do Shift Option and make a copy, and I'll do Shift Option again and make a couple more copies, so eventually I have 4 of these on my page. So there we go, I've got 4 of these, and I can change the size of each of these depending on what I want to work with at that moment. It might be advisable for you also, again, do the naming convention and just give yourself the point size so you remember. So when you're doing your work at all times, you remember exactly the size that you're working with. It just saves a lot of time. Archive all of these letters that you're creating and printing out. Do not throw them away per project, because I know that eventually you'll use them again probably in other assignments, because we do have 4 very strong assignments to work with, and they'll be part of your semester archive or work file to get through the work. So I've got a 350 point, I've got a 385, I think I'll make another one around 400 points. So you type that in at 400 points, and let's say, let's do another one at 420 or maybe 450. A little too fast on the fingers there. Yeah, you get going too fast and you forget. And then this last one I'll do at, I think I'll do that at 450. Okay, now I can save that as well, and I can print that, and I'm just about ready to take those and justify them and start drawing them. I recommend that as a easy way to do this, you can use a light table, which you probably don't have. We actually have 4 of those in our classroom at Cal State in room 260, but since we're not on campus this semester, I can very easily go over and start laying that out on a window. So here I am getting ready to lay this out on a sliding glass window. You can use a glass kitchen table as well. So we'll do a quick transition here into that process. I've taped the 7-inch tall base letter on the window, and I have my 14 by 17 marker paper on top of that as well. Now what I'm doing is using the French curves. I'm trying to justify, according to this design, all of the curves throughout the piece. So I wish the lighting is a little stronger, but you'll get the point here. So I'm manipulating the curve in as many positions as possible so I can really craft in a very strong letter form. In reviewing a lot of the comps from students this semester and in past semesters, especially when you're doing your 224 comps, you've got 7 across and 8 down. You have a tendency to freehand them, and they're just all over the place. I think it's imperative, even for those of you students that do not have good drawing skills, and basically most graphic designers don't. It's really not a prerequisite, because graphic design is not an issue of drawing, it's an issue of thought process and project management. But if you can come up with some pretty good workarounds on doing layouts and drawing, that's why I recommend doing these mechanical processes with the French curves. I'm using an HB pencil on my marker paper. Again, we use marker paper and not Bristol paper because I can see through this. If I was using Bristol paper, it would be very, very opaque. I could not see through it, and very solid. So you want to make sure that you do take advantage of the marker paper. You can even use tracing paper, but the problem with tracing paper, if you have it, it tends to bleed through when you use a black marker on it, like a Sharpie or a micron pen. So I prefer using marker paper. So once I will lift it up a few times, see that I have all the lines. Again, I'm looking for the curves that will best match this. And as mentioned, I'm just using a sliding glass door in the back of my house. I have good light, kind of see where I'm going with this. And there I go. I think I've got it pretty well laid out. And now what I'm going to do is pull that out, and I'll figure out which size of letter will work best underneath that, which E I am going to use. So I kind of fish around. That one doesn't work, the 350. Oh, it looks like it's a 400 too big. I'm going to settle on, I think I'm going to settle on the 385. That seems to be just about what I want to do from my 224 exploration. That seems to be the strongest design. Excuse me. I take some blue tape. I like working with blue tape. It's just tacky enough to stick, but doesn't tear the paper. I'll mount that on there, and again, I'll bust out my French curves and start laying that out. Sorry that I get in the way there. I got too excited. So I'll use straight edge, my curves. I'll do all the vertical lines. Then I'll go back to my French curves so I get everything the way that I want it. And it's a nice little process. You can do this in your bedroom on a window. You can do it just about any place that has a glass with some light behind it. Will give you pretty good contrast where you can see through the marker paper and also see your illustrated pieces that you've done in Illustrator. Again, you're on the honor code on this. I highly recommend that you do not build these in Illustrator. I cannot monitor this because you're at home. But as mentioned, that would be academic dishonors if you actually went and just built this in Illustrator ahead of time. And that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is you to do the rote drawing skills in order to get a very, very good understanding of how to do this work. If you have really good rendering skills, that applies so much into your work. You can sit there in front of a client and just start showing him things or showing her things in the work that you're producing. And it's pretty impressive when you can develop some pretty basic mechanical drawing skills. And you do not have to be an illustrator or really a painter or have those innate drawing skills, which a lot of us do have. But you can render something rather nice and poignant for a review. Again, now I'm back in the studio. I've got my coffee up at the left. I've got my tools, a nice clean work area. And I will start taking the tools again and recreating this with a black Sharpie. And I'm manipulating it around to figure out which will help me get the curves that I want And I'm trying to get probably about 85 to 90% of accuracy. Again, this is a comp. It is not a total finished piece of artwork, but it is a composition. The idea is to render mechanically with these tools the overall look and feel of the work. The reason I feel that these skills are important and that good drawing skills will benefit you throughout your career, that you can sit down and comp something out without always having to rely on a computer. For those of you that do not have a sketchbook going, I do recommend that you keep a sketch journal. There's nice little 8.5 by 11 sketch journals with the black covers. You can get those at Blix or any art store. And do a lot of drawing. Do lots of these sketches, and you'll be surprised within no time you can develop some pretty strong drawing skills that would get you through in a pinch when you're asked to produce something. So as I progress through this, I have a general idea where I want to go. I've kind of sped it up a little bit here. Have a look-see at this, and finding all those different angles that will benefit the totality of the work. And let's see, I'm going to move that around and fit that in there. And that looks about right. And it's just kind of my bird's eye view. Again, just get the initial shapes, and if you overlap a little bit, it's okay. You can do a little bit of freehanding. I don't mind a little bit of freehand work on occasions, but the bulk of it should be done mechanically with the French curves and straight edges. So I get this final last curve on the E, and then I'm going to finish the little ear lobe on the lowercase g, and I think we'll be about ready to start filling this in. Okay, I'm happy there. Let's see, will that work? Yeah, it works. Bad hair day. Okay, there we go. Finish that around. And let's see if I can just knock that out real quick. And again, this is 7 inches tall. And now it's just the process of filling it in with my marker and going all the way around. Again, be as neat as you can. You may want to come in with a stronger pen. That pen I was using was running out of ink, so it wasn't getting as opaque as I would prefer. I'll just get a little through this and move it around. And there may be a point where you say, you know, I'm just tired of this. I gotta get a bigger pen to work with. Let's see if I've got something available here in my art box. I've got a bunch of old coffee cans and jars full of pens, and I do like the Sharpies when they dry a little bit, because then you can kind of sketch with them in your sketchbook. So now I have a broader pen. I'm using a much broader Sharpie. It's got that chisel point, and I can just kind of motor through this a little bit quicker. And I'm not trying to be too precise, but I want to get it fairly detailed. There we go. And I'll just finish that. A little more strokes here and there just to polish it off. And that is a full-scale comp for your piece. Now the work you're doing, you're going to create 14 by 17 marker paper, and you're going to do 4 up on a page of each design, 32 altogether. But this is just giving you a general idea how to use the tools. There you go. Hope that helps, and we'll see you in class.